Listen, woof. Sometimes the videos I make, there's really no value to them, but that's not true. This one's gonna be good. This one's important. I'm pretty excited. Whether you have just bought a home, whether you're renting, whether you are redecorating or renovating, this video is for everybody. Everybody at some point feels that feeling of indecision, of overwhelm, of being torn in too many directions, a fear of commitment for how they want to design their space. Everybody feels this. I'm gonna blame the internet. I think it really doesn't help that we can go online and see so many images of so many different styles, all beautifully executed. And I see that and I'm like, oh my God, I do like maximalism. Oh my God, I do like eclectic. Seeing so many images executed so well, it's like, I could like a lot of these. We're gonna talk about the major pitfall that is tripping you up and leaving you feeling indecisive, how to handle and overcome your commitment issues with interior design, the things you should avoid. There's a good list of stuff you should avoid, how to build your taste, and what you should do when you have no idea where to start and you're just like, I can't even get started. I got some answers. It's gonna be fun. Maybe I'll say the title. Would that be fun? I don't know if I want to say the title. Yeah, I'll say the title. This is Interior Design for Indecisive People. Okay, it's happening. I'm gonna sit on this side of the screen because I want to put objects here, and if I don't just move my body, editing gets very annoying. And I did that for you, out of love, Paige. Okay, let me tell you right now the thing that is tripping you up. One of the greatest inhibitors of creativity, you're not feeling creative, you're not feeling inspired, is probably because you have too much of a blank canvas. Having a blank canvas kills creativity. You can do anything you want, there's no restrictions. No one feels creative in that space. Restrictions are your friend. Limitations are your friend. So times that you might feel most indecisive is when you're looking at like a completely bare room and you're like, I could do anything with this. Or you're trying to think about a hypothetical home that you don't even own yet, your forever home, that you don't even own yet, and you're like, what would I want it to be? What do I want to start making it? You don't know because there's literally no starting point. Anything is theoretically possible. It is so hard to be creative and inspired in that blank canvas type of thinking. Restrictions are your friend. The things that you think are limiting you, budget, architecture style, existing pieces you already have, your boyfriend's or girlfriend's weirdo taste, restrictions are actually gonna help you here. For example, in my tiny rental kitchen, there are these cherry wood cabinets that I don't like cherry wood. I don't think I ever would have picked out cherry wood cabinets if I had a blank canvas and I could pick whatever I wanted. But there were cherry wood cabinets. And so then when I was thinking about designing the space, I wanted to do something that would complement them, that would hype them up. I ended up choosing this really dark blue that I knew would make the red cabinets pop. And now it's my favorite room in my apartment. Absolute favorite room, never would have chosen that, never would have gotten there without a really limiting restriction. In my bedroom, I wanted to cover the whole room in wallpaper, but I couldn't afford it. It was way too expensive to put wallpaper on 4 walls. So instead I thought, I'll just put wallpaper on 1 wall then. And I put it on the ceiling. And now it is like this focal piece. You get to look at it from the bed. It makes it so unique. It's kept the rest of the room bright and airy. Restrictions are your friend. Every single person is working with a budget. Every single person's working with a budget. Even the millionaires, when millionaires come to designers, they're dreaming of billionaire spaces. Their dreams are not for their budget either. Everyone's working with a budget and everyone's dreaming outside their budget. So budget is just part of the game. Don't let it get you down. And there's plenty other restrictions that we're all dealing with, and they're gonna help you. Here's what you're gonna do. I'd like to take a note from beloved design legend Emma Burns, who said, plan first, taste second. Means not taste like eat it. Don't eat anything, but like you're going to think about your plan, the logistics for your space, the restrictions. What is the budget? Does it need to be pet friendly? Does it need to fit a super narrow hallway that I'm working with? You're gonna start with your plan, And then you're going to make taste-related decisions. Let things narrow down first with your plan, with logistics. Plan first, taste second. So when you're mood boarding a space, don't try and just design based off of like, what would be the ultimate, prettiest, most frivolous, ideal thing? It's too much freedom. It's too much of a blank canvas. Start with, what are my restrictions? Your restrictions could be your must-haves, such as, I already have this amazing vintage couch and I want this vintage couch in the living room. That's great, and it's a restriction, and that's great. Everything now has to like work with this weirdo freaking couch. Awesome. Or maybe the must-have is like, it's really low ceilings, and it's a must-have, I mean, not because you want it to be, but because it's gonna be there. And we need a space that works well when there's low ceilings. And you need to clock that so that when you're looking at your inspo imagery, you need to also be able to ask, would that image work? Would that inspo image work in a room that has really low ceilings? Possibly not. So naming your must-haves, things you love, things that you need to have in the space, and also like your immovable objects, I like to call them. That super ugly flooring that you just can't get rid of. Whatever has got to be there. Your budget, your children. You've tried hard, but you can't kick the kids out of the house. They're gonna continue to live there, at least until middle school. This is a restriction probably on how you're gonna be using your space. Plan first, taste second. Once you have narrowed down the logistics, it's going to have limited the taste options to you, and that is a good thing when you're an indecisive person. Okay, but Caroline, what do I do when I have no idea where to start? I like too many styles. I like 8 different styles. Or maybe you're thinking, I don't even know what my style is. I don't know what my preference is. Let me say this to you. I think it is really not helpful to try and name a single style for yourself. If it is super easy and clear-cut how to describe someone's style, it's not very original. It's not actually style. It's not actually taste then, because it's just copying someone else. It's not taste. Taste is very personal. And it's probably gonna feel like a theme, like a themed home, my modern glam home, my farmhouse home, my rustic home. And it's also not ultimately gonna feel very homey. I want my home to feel really homey, and that means it needs to feel personal. So I wouldn't stress about trying to name your style. I don't think it's gonna help you. So whether you don't know what styles you like, or you like too many styles, this is the exercise I would have you do. Go to Pinterest or wherever you collect inspo images, create a new board. And we're just gonna pin every single thing we like, hanky-panky style. Doesn't matter if it fits, doesn't matter if there's a theme, doesn't matter if it's realistic for your home, pin it all. Go to town, pin it all. Until you're tired, and try to go out of your way to like type in some weird adjectives, type in some weird search queries to get you out of your own algorithm, to get you seeing new stuff, weird stuff, something you hate, bounce around. Make sure you're exposing yourself to a lot of stuff. Once you've collected like a ton of imagery, I have to sneeze. What you're gonna do next, do a second pass through your board. A second pass, a third pass, and try to identify themes. What are the themes you're seeing reappearing over and over? Like, okay, you did like that one freak of like a red bathroom that one time, but bright, bold rooms aren't showing up a lot otherwise in the board. So maybe that one's like an outlier, and we're gonna kind of shave it away. Look for themes, and it doesn't have to be a themed style, but it could be like, I love wood furniture, or it could be, I love sparse spaces. Then you're gonna go through and do another pass and eliminate things based on your restriction list, the restriction list we talked about earlier. My cat has to be able to scratch this thing. My kids have to be able to pee on this thing. It has to fit in with XYZ budget. It has to fit in with 8-foot tall ceilings. Look at the image and ask, would this work as well in my room? Is this style gonna work as well in dim lighting? Is this style gonna work as well when there's no windows? Is it gonna work as well when there aren't a bunch of beautiful archways in my architecture? Ask yourself, what makes this picture work? What's really getting me going with this picture? It's creating a little bit of like interior design self-awareness, and eliminate anything that you don't think is gonna hold up in your home. Okay, at this point, you're board is kind of going to be close to a state of like a vision board. It's going to be a little more unified, a little more achievable. And a designer I used to work with referred to this as the North Star. You're getting it close to a North Star now. It's a vision board that feels more focused, more unified. There's common themes. And when you're out shopping or when you're looking at paint colors or when you're deciding like, should I buy this thing? You can go back to your North Star and it's going to recenter you. It's going to refocus you on the things you like time and time again. And it's easier to see, does this thing like get me closer to the North Star? But you can do it. Listen, I have a secret for you. If you are enjoying this design content, chit chat, silly time, you want to learn more about design, you want to discover your tastes, I really recommend that you go and check out a whole show I have on interior design, iconic design objects. It's on the Wayfair YouTube channel. This video is made possible by Wayfair today. And they have really great content over on their channel. I love supporting their channel. They've got a whole series called A Style is Born that just takes deep dives into different interior design styles. So you can just educate yourself. Education, exposure is so important when you're acquiring and building your taste. And you can definitely check out my show, which is called Iconic Objects. If you are a fan of this channel and you haven't watched Iconic Objects, I feel sorry for you because it is very good. It is very good. In each episode, we do a deep dive into a different household decor item that's probably found somewhere in your home, found in my home, some object that overtook like pop culture, all of a sudden, a huge trend, and nobody really asked why. The most recent episode is on the mocha pot. Yes, the stylish little coffee pot that I have in my home and has been around for decades, but it's not the most advanced coffee technology. Why is it still so popular? Why do we love it? I love it. Why are we still clinging on to it? What happened in culture to make us all obsessed with this item? If you love questions like that, if you love to giggle and have a good time and expose yourself to learnings, you're gonna love this show. Iconic Objects. I would definitely go check it out. Check out the Wayfair YouTube channel. I would subscribe so that you can keep up with all their great content. It's a really fun, educational time, and you're gonna feel good afterwards. It's a feel-good time. I've included a link in the description of this video so you can go watch the most recent episode of Iconic Objects. You will not regret it. So you've got commitment issues. Caroline, I do not know how to commit to a wallpaper. It is too big of a commitment. I do get that. Well, I've got a trick for you, but I also got a little bit of therapy for you. Sometimes I hear people talking about like, oh, I want to like design the XYZ that I'll love for like 10 plus years. I don't think that happens. Like most people don't keep a room the same for 10 years. Even people on a super strict budget. Your fashion tastes evolve, your movie preferences evolve, your reading preferences, like you're gonna evolve. And I actually just don't think this idea of it lasting like forever and ever, I've never seen anyone live that way. I don't think that's really even the goal. But yes, we want something that like we're gonna feel good about for a while. Yes. Major trick I would use for something such as choosing a wallpaper or maybe a pattern. This is really tricky. Where I think you can go wrong is by choosing something just because it matches, just because it goes with the room. Now, you do want your room to be cohesive, but if you're choosing something just because it matches, just because it kind of follows a formula, you can end up, that's when I felt myself ending up with something that like technically worked, but I didn't love it long term. Instead, what I would do with this, you still want it to be cohesive, so let your restrictions and limitations be like working with the existing color palette of the room, whatever. But beyond that, order your wallpaper samples, your fabric samples, and I like to, if I'm like pretty sure I like one, but I'm not totally sure, I like to just carry around the wallpaper sample like in my purse. I just like to carry it around in my purse for like a few weeks. And if every time I take that thing out of my purse and look at it, I'm like giggling, like I get like this. And I'm like, look at this wallpaper sample, and I'm like showing it to people like it's a puppy or like a picture of my baby. I'm like, look at this wallpaper sample. If that's my reaction to it for a while, then like I just love that thing. And I'm gonna love it in my home. However, if if it doesn't really get that reaction out of me, I'm probably only picking it because I think it works, because I think it's right, because I think it's cohesive. And that's not really enough. That's not something you're gonna love long term. So if you don't carry a purse, start carrying a purse or some kind of satchel, and just, I swear to God, just carry your sample around in your bag and just like look at it over and over. Or, you know, maybe it's a piece of furniture that you're not gonna get a sample of. You keep a picture of it on your phone and just like continue to expose yourself to it over and over for like a week or two. Like you've got a little bit of time, and see if it just, does it on its own delight you? Not just that it goes with the room and it wouldn't be a wrong choice, but like on its own, does it delight you? And is it also cohesive with the room? You're gonna like it long term. That's like part of how you get in touch with your intuition with design, is what I think. Okay, y'all, we got to talk about things you'll want to avoid if you're an indecisive person. If you're an indecisive person, or you're feeling indecisive about your design choices, don't do this stuff, okay? Number one, I would avoid a theme. Everyone should avoid a theme. Everyone should avoid a theme. And by theme, I mean, yes, a themed room like a Power Rangers room, but a theme is also like a trend. Just doing a trend is a theme, or just like doing one style is a theme. Any kind of themed room, it is going to tire very quickly. The one exception maybe is a child's room, but even there, I would be careful about how you deliver the theme. He loves robots. Like, you know, find what's the correct serving size for serving your child robot content. Accessories are way easier to change out than a whole robot bed. It's really important to mix styles, mix influences. So let that be a good thing. If you like a lot of stuff, lean into mixing it. And maybe the through lines, the things that'll make it cohesive, is that it's a lot of the same colors, or a lot of similar materials, or the hard and soft materials complement each other. And you know, every once in a while, there are trendy items that we all like. It's not like you can never like something that's trending, but I would just make sure that if you're incorporating trending things, I do feel wary of it, but I myself do it at times. Take an aspect of the trend, take a single item of the trend, or maybe a pattern from the trend that you like, instead of like the whole showroom setup, the whole like store window setup version of the theme. Because it's easier to cycle out individual pieces when they tire, and they will tire. Another thing to avoid, I would not go hard purchasing furniture, making purchases if you haven't lived in your space for a while yet. Take the time to live in your space. I know it's so hard when you're like, but I have to host the annual Christmas party. I always host a Christmas party. I just moved into my new home and I gotta host my Christmas party. Rent out the fajita place next door instead for the Christmas party, just this Christmas, okay? Don't do it. Do not force yourself to make purchases early before you've lived in your space. It will help clarify for you what you actually need, what your limitations are, how it actually feels. Live in your space first. Don't buy too soon. Let me tell you this, honestly, I would not ask your friends' opinions. I would not ask your friend. Never once in my life have I acted on a friend's design advice. I don't think ever. And I don't think any people ever do. When I give design advice to people, do you want to know how often they take it? 0% of the freaking time. Because the truth is, I feel like the most helpful thing I can do when someone asks for design advice is I give them what I would do. I know they're going to reject it. And it does help clarify for them maybe like what they would actually like to do instead. Because you have your own taste, you have your own preferences. I would not just be going around, and everyone wants to feel helpful, everyone wants to have something to say, so they just start saying things. I would not ask your friend's advice. I don't see it ever being helpful for design. Something that you could do instead, if you really want someone else's way and someone else's opinion, even if you're on a budget, look into designers who have digital design services. I mentioned Emily May earlier. She's one of my favorite designers. She has an amazing digital design service, which is often much more affordable. They basically give you like a digital package. They do it remotely to help you solve XYZ problem in your space. Lots of designers do these. These days though, most do. It's much more affordable. Maybe it's a few $100s. It depends, you know, how many rooms and what you're asking them to solve for you. Are they doing the whole space? Are they just looking for a rug and curtains? It depends. Getting a digital design service from a designer, much more accessible way. No, I do not do them, but I love you. Mwah. If you are super risk averse, or you know that your preferences, your design preferences change really quickly and you always want to experiment with new things, that or you're risk averse and you really, really don't want to mess something up, I would say go really neutral with your foundational pieces. Do a neutral couch because it's much easier to change out your throw pillows. It's much easier to change out your accessories. It's much easier to just change, you know, like some of the most beautiful spaces I see, they are white walls. They are white walls and simple floors, and there's just stunning art or accessories or a lamp. It's much easier to change that stuff out, and you can have a really distinct, bespoke look with the foundation of your space being quite neutral. So you can always do that. I kind of do that. How do I build my taste, acquire my taste, my sense of style? Let me tell you a fact, a scientific fact. Nobody is born with taste. It is developed. Taste is developed. This is why experimentation is so important. And I talk about the importance of experimenting and taking risks to, you know, whichever degree you can tolerate risk. It's so important because you don't want to get to your forever home and be trying things for the first time, because then it does feel really high pressure and it feels expensive and it feels more permanent. You have to experiment in order to evolve and refine your taste. And I think it's okay to expect and account for some degree of spillage, kind of. I think that's what companies call it with products, like some product, your company that sells plates, spillage, I think, is the word that accounts for the fact that some of the plates are gonna break, some are gonna get lost in shipping, some aren't gonna come out right in the manufacturer. Spillage. You gotta account for some spillage when you're experimenting in the name of building your taste. You have to be willing to experiment with things, and you won't like everything. That is how you end up figuring out what you like. You don't just guess it straight out on day one. And there are lower budget ways to do experimentation. Painting, yes, it's time consuming, but it is pretty affordable in general. Go shopping from within your own home and bring different items of different colors from different rooms around to see what looks good where. Experiment. Even when you're on a budget, there are ways to get creative. This is why you will never hear me putting down, you know, the more affordable furniture. That's a lot of the furniture that I used and experimented with when I was figuring out what I liked, and that was my budget. When I had the scrimpiest budget, I bought a lot of cheap stuff. And through that, I eventually found which things I was okay with kind of being cheaper and which things I really did want to work on being able to invest in. And that came through experimentation. Of course, Facebook Marketplace, thrifting are great options if you want to make it more of a hobby, more of something you can share. I'm also a fan of using renter-friendly decor items, even in a place that you own, because it gets rid of some of the commitment. Some of them are really high quality. There's really high quality peel and stick, renter-friendly floor tiles, wallpapers, lots of things that can get rid of some of that commitment fear and allow you the space to experiment. I'll link some stuff below. But it is so, so important to experiment. I think it's kind of like, you know, if you were to go head forth into dating and saying, I have to pick my ideal partner the first time I pick a person. The first pick has to be the pick. I have to get it right. You probably first have to date a dude that's obsessed with parrots to even understand that you cannot live with a dude that's obsessed with parrots. I didn't even know that was on my list until I encountered it, and I'm always second to the parrot. I had to encounter an eccentric personality who puts the parrot above me all the time, even to know that, like, that's not my preference. It's not my preference. I don't know how solid that metaphor was, but I'm keeping it in the video. Even experimenting with art can make all the difference, and it does not have to be expensive. I frame postcards all the time. When you're traveling, going on a weekend excursion, whatever, keep an eye out for, you know, a $10 print, a postcard. I frame that stuff all the time. They're some of my favorite pieces. Does not have to be expensive. And you can move it around. Most importantly, what I hear around this question of design and decision, what I hear is anxiety. And I relate. I have not been doing very well mentally, I would say. Why am I laughing? Anxiety-wise, it has not been, I'm like the least well that I've been in years, probably. So I feel you, and it's just stuff, right? It can be something that lifts you up, that brings you joy. It's gonna be something that continues to evolve. Even when someone gets like their home fully designed by a designer, they continue to tweak things throughout the years because we're all evolving. Our preferences are evolving. We love something for a number of years and we kind of get tired of it. So I would say embrace the idea of spillage when you're experimenting. I would say embrace the fun, the experimentation. Remove the pressure of having to have everything ready day one that you move in or by the time you have to have that party. First of all, nobody cares. Your real friends do not care if your home is all set up. They don't care. It's going to come together in time. Everyone's real busy. They're living their own life. Don't worry about it. There's enough anxiety in life. Let's not let it come from experimenting in our homes, any more than you are going to stress about how you dress yourself, which actually is quite stressful. I don't really have answers for that one, so not a good example. But let it be experimentation. Let it be fun. Enjoy the journey of getting to get really in touch with your own preferences, getting to discover your own preferences by trying things. You got this. I believe in you. Let me know if this is helpful to you or to somebody who needs it. I'll see you soon. Wow. This is really in my face. If you don't carry a purse, start carrying a purse or some kind of satchel. Woof. This is not important, but it is important. Shush me.